Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope everybody is doing well as we are fastly approaching the Christmas holiday here and it gets colder outside. Hope your families are doing well. A lot of people on break right now. I don't have the kids, so the school kids aren't off. Well, yeah, I guess they are. Here we go. Up on Christmas, though. And New Year's before we know it. Where did the year go? My guest today, an old friend. I've known him since our Little League days, probably before, like, when we really even kicked into Little League. Yep. Greg Perkins, president, co-founder of Inclyousion Sports in Danvers. Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Drew.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip up to Newburyport here.
Crushed it right up I-95, easy peasy.
Crushed it. I like
Crushed
that.
It.
You know, I wonder how interested people are in our Little League days. You know, we were champions there.
Yep. Crosstown, White Sox.
Yeah, that's right. The White Sox. Yep. Those
Your dad was a coach wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of them. He was an assistant coach. Yeah, yeah. You were the shortstop. You had like the big deal.
Yep. Got to man the 6-hole, unassisted double plays. Yeah.
Good team.
That was fun. Our team was stacked.
We did. Actually,
with Chris Bork and
Megan Duggan was on it.
Yeah, good team. Good team.
What are the chances you get we had an NHL player and the captain of the Olympic team.
Yeah.
We really had very little to do with it, huh?
I know. Had the parades for everyone. Megan coming through on the other.
Yeah. Megan was a guest on the show. She was great.
She's awesome.
She was good. So very cool. But how you been?
Awesome. Busy. Yeah. Talking about kids and holidays and stuff. So we're looking at all those things, getting some Christmas lights going. So
sweet. We're
getting ready for the season too.
Tell me a little bit. You got a nice little, I like the shortened shirt and the logo there. It's good. Tell me a little bit about Inclyousion Sports.
Yeah, so that's a nice little business. My wife and I started, so trying to think back of like origin stories was probably about a year ago. Kind of a head for me professionally, personally too. We're reaching the kind of top of the company, kind of now what moment. Working with kids with autism, various diverse abilities at a center in Beverly. And then kind of wanted to do something of my own, break free a little bit, get back to my roots of why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I passionate about? And it's helping kids that might need more support than other kids. And it's sports. Me and you, we played sports growing up. Yeah. Some kids need different supports to access those types of programs or classes, and kind of bringing that to Kristen of like, how can we do something with this? How can we make something of this? And I started having conversations. One was with our inclusion consultant, Lisa Drennan. She has her own company. She's fantastic. She's on board. And the third member of our team, Allie, who's designed the PE curriculum. So we have an inclusion expert, kind of my strategies. My background is in behavior analysis. I'm a BCBA, stands for Board Certified Behavior Analyst. So with my behavior background, Lisa's inclusion background, and Allie's PE curriculum background, we kind of put it all together, created the training, created the program, and we kind of launched in Danvers last September. So we just had our first year.
Nice. A lot of pressure making that jump, right?
Leap of faith. Talked a lot of coaching from Kristen.
Kristen, your wife.
Yeah, so we just didn't know if it was a thing. We hoped it was a thing. Our conversations with community members felt like the program was there. And after the first month, we had kids from over 20 towns traveling to Danvers to attend our program. So,
wow, you're in 20 towns.
So we had kids traveling to us from 20 towns. And that was kind of the spark of like, oh man, we need to do more. We need to make this more accessible to families and communities outside of the North Shore, outside of Danvers. So we started joining different organizations, going to different meetings, presenting our program to different areas of the state. And by last spring, we were in 8 different towns. Through the summer, we were in 12 different towns. We did fall programming, and now we're on to opening our new gym space, which we just had in Peabody. We had our grand opening last weekend. The sky's the limit. We have so many more opportunities now to provide classes. We're starting a dance class and yoga class. So in addition to all these sports classes we're working on, we're continually trying to provide other options for our families and our community to try different movement activities.
Wow, that's great. So, I mean, there's so many people, so many families are impacted and have a family member or, that have this issue with, it is a real issue with the inclusion thing. There's so many kids that can participate in these things and, maybe just they don't want to make that first jump. They don't feel comfortable or whatever. I'm sure you see stuff like that every single day. Exactly. Talk about when you see it work out, like when you see your whole thing come together. It must be really rewarding.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on with some kids just need a little bit of change in the environment, and that's what we do as kind of behavior analysts. We look at the environment. Does the kid need a more quiet setting? Is the group too big? Is the skill too hard? What is the barrier? So that's how we describe ourselves as a sports program, and through our training and curriculum, we can remove barriers for kids to access sports. So when we look at a situation where a kiddo might come to us and he doesn't want to play sports at all, and he's crying and screaming, doesn't want to come over to the field. We work with the mom, we talk with their family to see what kind of strategies are successful at school, what works at home. And one kiddo I can remember screaming, crying. Our classes are 50 minutes, 45 minutes, screamed the whole way. We got him over to the group and he said goodbye to everyone. The week after, 40 minutes, he did one activity and said goodbye. The week after, he screamed for 30 minutes, came over for 2 activities. And it's that kind of attention to detail that makes us unique. And our background in training with our coaches, going through all these different trainings that we've created, really allows them to connect with the families and to really dig deep on what are successful strategies to get these kids to try. Because we don't know, does the kid not like sports? That's going to happen. He just might not like sports. But if we can do our job and figure out maybe there's just something in the way for him to really like sports, and now we're giving these families an opportunity to see that their kid really likes baseball, where he tried a different Little League program and it was just too chaotic, or whatever the barrier might have been. We're giving them an opportunity to try sports, and maybe they're able to go back to that Little League after some time with us.
Wow, that's so cool. And it's true, because especially with autism, like it can be that little thing. Like, we've talked off the air, and my wife works with kids with autism in the schools, and she was talking even during the pandemic, like she had a moment where there was one kid who was just not speaking, just would not interact, not social at all, just wouldn't talk. And they were all wearing masks at the time, and she realized when they took away the mask that he could start reading expressions and seeing the little smiles on people's faces, and he connected with that and started talking and she was like, oh my goodness, the mask set him back.
It's so important.
And it's amazing. As soon as he started reading faces and expressions, he was good.
I remember that in our center, trying to find the masks that were clear, because so many kids are using those cues, because the spectrum of autism, you never know what kid needs to be successful. So seeing a mouth, seeing a face is really important. To read a social cue of your instructor, teacher, coach of how am I doing based on what his face is doing. So especially kids with autism, they can have a tough time reading facial cues. So that is really important, and I can totally picture that. And another thing we've seen coming out of the pandemic is the social skills, where kids didn't have that same opportunity to go to a playground and just be a kid. Where for our own kids, my 5-year-old Henry, we would say, like, give space. We're always worried about giving space to other kids, because it was the pandemic. So we've seen more kids coming out that need more direct instruction with social skills, where they haven't had that opportunity at 3, 4, 5 to develop some of those natural social skills. They might need more coaching. And okay, everyone, like, Henry, why don't you ask Johnny how his weekend was? Kind of priming them, setting them up those opportunities to work on those social skills and build friendships. Yeah, geez, that makes complete sense to me. What's it like having a 5-year-old coming out of the pandemic? That's living through those are some weird years to be in a pandemic, I would imagine. Another reason, stemming back to why we started this business, is we were doing a soccer program, and it wasn't working out for Henry. So Kristen and I were thinking, like, if we're going through this challenging time where we need to create an opportunity for a different program where there might be more flexibility, more change in the environment. If a family wants to come on the field, that's awesome. We have grandparents playing third base coach, high-fiving people around. We really want to create a community where everyone feels like they're part of the team. Yeah, and we're certainly doing that. Again, we're talking here with Greg Perkins, president and co-founder of Inclyousion Sports. They're out of Danvers, and as you said, you drew from 20 towns immediately with people reaching out to you for interest. Were you almost, I know that's a little bit of doubt every business owner has, every business starter has in their mind, Still do. You still do, yeah. Will the people always be there? Exactly. When you're jumping into it, I mean, you must be like, in your heart, there's, all right, this is a need, let's go for it. But when you finally get that people coming to you, it must be like, okay, I was right. Okay, Yeah, and that's a unique or interesting dichotomy between Kristen and myself of I'm the one that wants to go. And a town emails they want to start classes, yes, like do that, like I'll find the coaches, I'll get the equipment, like let's go. And Kristen's like, all right, wait.
Yeah.
Because we're bootstrapping this all ourselves, so we have to be thoughtful about where we're going, what days, what times, how we're partnering, so that kind of balance of making sure we're continuing to grow thoughtfully and with proper training and technique from our coaches. We want a quality product because this is important for families. We're unique. We want to create this community in each of these different subsections of the state where we've been, that they trust us, they feel like they can grow with us, and we love getting to know those families and the rec departments in each town.
And you want to make sure you do, and maybe this is Kristen's job to stop you. Maybe make sure that you want to jump into the right fit, right? Because you don't want to get stuck in something that ends up being a poor fit.
Exactly, and we've gone through that as a small business owner. You try things and you learn, and that's why I want to do these things of let's try it. We're doing like 8-week pilot programs with different towns. Let's try it, see how their community comes back to us, see how the rec department works with us, see how the coaches in the area we can find. So it is a kind of like trial by error where we kind of have to do it and see if it works or not. There are towns that we try to go to and the community's not showing up, not ready to start. So we do smaller groups, and then we try a different town and they have 25 kids instead of 4. So it really is for us a big kind of trial by error, but also an education mission where we're trying to explain to these different rec departments and families what is inclusion, why is it important for kids with and without disabilities to play sports together. So for us, it's this kind of pushing the business forward, making these classes, but also explaining and sharing our mission and vision with different rec departments, organizations, our collaborations and partnerships that we've made.
I imagine those aren't the easiest conversations because some of them probably are, but there is a certain people just that aren't exposed to it, and there's a lack of understanding about what these kids need. I mean, I know there's principals in certain schools that just don't get it. Maybe they have programs and they fully don't understand what goes on and what the kids need. I imagine, knowing your personality a little bit, is there a little bit of like, they're not doing it right there. I can prove it to them. Like they need this and they should have this, and I can get in there.
That's totally it. And that's why I want to continue growing. Like, give me the kids and I'll show you the best way to kind of teach them and how to get them engaged with a sport. I always look for the kid that, if we have 8 kids in a class, where's that one that's not looking at me, that's not engaged with me? I'm going to go right over to them. I'm going to find out what they like, what are they interested in, what's their motivation, what's their reinforcement, and by the end of the class, they're going to be high-fiving and they're going to be right with me during that class. So for me, it's just that engagement and showing people that the way that we can use these strategies that we've learned from our behavior training and inclusion training, they work for all children, all kids, even us. We like schedules. We like to check things off our list. We use a visual schedule for all of our classes. We use different token boards if a kid is having a tough time keeping their hands to themselves. We made a different, like a Peppa Pig token board where they can come over to us and they get a token for every activity they do without hitting another friend. So there's different things that we can use to work with families. But like I said, all those kids wanted a token board. Like, it's just kids love the reinforcement. That's a huge thing of what we do. They get a sticker at the end of the class, lots of positive reinforcement. Just like we would use, like if Sarah said, Drew, you did such a good job folding that laundry last night, you'd be more likely to do that.
What did she tell you? No.
Yeah, right? I pulled that one out. Sorry, Sarah.
No, I actually forgot to do the laundry this week. You know what my problem is? I start the laundry and then sometimes forget to put it in the dryer. Then you got to wash the whole thing all over
there's
again.
Different steps. I like washing and drying. I don't like the folding part. If Kristen said that was a really good job folding and putting, I'd be like, that felt good. Maybe I'll do that more. We do the same things. Our behavior principles work all the time. You wash the dishes before you watch Netflix. Like, those are all behavior strategies that are present in our everyday life.
And there is in that community, it is such an important thing too. I mean, the routine, I guess, is it routine mostly, I guess, is probably the word.
Expectations.
Expectations, routine, when you say schedules, I was almost laughing. Sarah Blackstone's like, if Drew can only keep to a better schedule, I'm all over the place.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. Sarah running the place again today. She's by herself out there today. I don't know. We're getting quiet ahead of the holidays. I think people escaping to family, which is good. But Sarah Blackstone running the show today. What is the biggest misunderstanding that people have when they talk about your kids? The kids that come to your program, I always feel like people don't quite, especially with autism, it's like one of those things it doesn't always jump out at you. So people are always kind of, not unsure about it. Maybe they won't ask questions or whatever. What's the biggest misunderstanding people have?
I think for me, it's the way we set up our program and the intake process and getting to know the kids and families beforehand of what supports, what makes your child unique, what makes them special, how can we make this program for you, right? That's the inclusion, the YOU part in inclusion. We want to tailor this program for you and your child and your family to have success with us. So we want to make sure that we understand you, your child, your family, and what makes you unique. And we use those strategies that we've learned from our behavior and inclusion training to make sure that each kiddo gets something out of the class. So we're unique in that we might have a 5-year-old who has autism and is learning to follow directions and catch a lightly thrown ball. In that same class, there might be a 6-year-old without a disability, and we're pushing him to throw harder, faster, stronger. Whatever the kiddo comes to us, whatever the ability level is, we're able to modify and adapt our curriculum to make it easier, harder, and challenge each kiddo to make sure that they're improving. As a quick story, like some families just are happy that their kids are there and they're participating and they're having fun. They're not there to become Tom Brady and throw the ball perfectly. Yeah. We have other kids there that are really working on accuracy and throwing. So for us, it's the YOU challenging you as your family, make the best experience we can for you.
So the 5-year-old with autism versus the kid without the disability, I'm wondering, because I can imagine just a lot of it, I don't know what the percentage is, how many of your people are diagnosed with autism, because it seems like it's just a thing that would be perfect for somebody trying to get into sports, inclusive.
No, and that's a great question. And I think for us, we're trying to make an even playing field for all kids to try. So we want kids with and without disabilities playing. Yep. We have some classes where there's 4 kids with and 4 kids without disabilities. We have some classes that are 7 kids without disabilities and 1 kid. So it really depends on the age, the group. We're able to kind of, like I said, in that intake paperwork, I'm able to look and see at what the skill sets are of that kiddo and be like, oh, great. Like Sundays at 9 a.m., you'd be perfect in that group. So really being able to match the kids to the right groups. And you'd
probably never know the difference. You would not be able to tell the kid who had autism probably out of that 8 because you probably, or maybe you would, but I don't know. Maybe
depends. And that's the spectrum of seeing what the kid presents as, what do they like, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. Just like every other kid, we can figure out what makes them tick and use that to kind of gauge that interest and using that. So for example, we had a group of 5-year-olds that were like talking about Sonic before the class, and
like Sonic the
Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay.
not giant burgers.
The place on Route 1.
Good drinks there. But they were talking about Sonic. So we brought that into the class and we're like, all right, our first warm up, we're going to run like Sonic to the cones. All right, everyone get your hands back like this. You guys going fast? Look at you over there. You over there? You guys ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. And then just take off like Sonic. So it's really about capturing the kids' interest and bringing it into the class. And that way you're kind of building that rapport, and that kid sees you as more than a coach. You're there for them as this growing partner. Yeah,
I mean, that's actually, there's something to that too, right? Because I mean, a lot of these relationships that you build, especially when you're trying to work somebody through that kind of obstacle, they do kind of, you mean a lot to them, right? I mean, that's going to be the rewarding part of the job, is when you start to see that stuff pay
exactly
off.
And consistency is so important with our coaches to make sure that they're there. I know everyone has busy lives. We have a lot of professionals as our coaches, a lot of special education teachers, behavior training. We have PE teachers and adaptive PE teachers. So it's really important for those coaches to be consistent so they can learn those families. They learn the strategies that work well with each kiddo, and they love seeing that development, exactly like you said, from that story of like the 50-minute tantrum. That kid's playing with his mom on the sideline now. So it's just giving that opportunity that maybe in a different class, a different environment, wasn't given that opportunity, and we're kind of there to try it a different way.
It's such a different world too. I mean, the idea that think about it's really sad to think about how maybe that kid who, you broke those barriers, 5 minutes, one activity, then two activities, then three, maybe would never have been given that chance, even when we were in high school, which wasn't that long ago, people.
Right.
But it's something that where you probably see a million miles to go, but we have come a long way over the last decade or two when it comes to that, right?
Absolutely. And I think, and that's working at my previous company when I'd be working with their families and talking about other programs to send these children to, I didn't have a lot of good recommendations. So that was another reason of like, from my experience working with kids with autism, of bringing this to the public, of making a program where everyone can play together and they can benefit from each other. That was really important because, like you said, that we've made a lot of strides and there's still so much more to go. And I think we're kind of making our way through this niche of how to balance kids with and without disabilities and teaching respect and empathy, so that all kids are developing these friendships. So when you might see your friend with autism as a 5-year-old, who they are when you're in middle school, and they might be more susceptible to being bullied. You know them from sports class. That's not Johnny tantruming. That's Johnny, your friend from sports class. So we're trying to build that kind of empathy as a community.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I think so often you do think of, especially when in this situation where you're mixing disabilities and non-disabilities, we think of what can the person with the disability learn from the kid who doesn't have that hurdle. But I mean, I think the kid without the disability probably learning just as much, right?
Everyone brings something. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and that's the cool part, is to see one kid that has maybe more attention to detail than another kid. It doesn't matter if they have the disability or not. We all have our strengths of focusing on things that they can do, things that they're good at, bringing them to the class. So for us as coaches, it's important for us to understand who the kids are and making sure that they feel valued and their self-esteem is built up every class, because we really value that. And that friendship building is so important. We had a group of kids, 4 kids with disabilities, 4 kids without disabilities, and they had a birthday party at a YMCA, and the mom was just through the moon happy that all the kids showed up. They had never been to a birthday party. They never got invited to a birthday party. And because we created this opportunity and fostered all these friendships, we are making a positive impact in that family's life.
It's a real life impact, yeah. And you're probably right when you talk about bullying. I mean, geez, talk about how that's topical in the news these days, right? The Boston Bruins just went through that with that player there, and it's I mean, you must cringe when you hear those stories, like everybody does. But I would imagine if Johnny knows Billy, they're from sports. It's like that's probably less. You're not going to see that in the cafeteria if.
Right.
That's not what you do. That's not how you handle that.
Exactly. And that's why we're trying to catch a majority of our kids are between 2 and 7, and we're trying to kind of instill those values and help them learn that kids learn differently. Kids might be different than you, but they all are still valuable, and everyone should be treated the same. So it's important for us as a business to really teach those values at a young age, because we can see the impact later on if those people, the middle school and high school people that were getting bullied, if they had experience with a different kind of sports program at a younger age, it might be different.
What about the, I know, whenever you're dealing with kids anyway, there's this thing called overprotective parents. We remember that from back in the day from, whether it be at sports fields or whatever. I'm sure that is probably not the easiest thing, because you're trying to figure out what works best for your program. And maybe sometimes, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe parents have different ideas sometimes about what should be going on.
Yeah, and that's my favorite part about it, is that...
Your favorite part? Oh, okay.
I love communication with families, because... To me, it's their kid. They know them best, and I want to provide a safe space for them to learn. So give me as much information as you can. And with my background working with kids with autism for 14 years, I can put these pieces together, and I can create kind of this plan for every kid to kind of have success. And every kid's not going to have success, but we're going to be able to really detail something for that child to come in, the family to feel safe and heard, the child to come in and feel supported. The coaches will have a game plan of strategies to use. So for me, yes, families are going to say, why do you do this? Why can't you do this? Why did you do this? But for me, it's just relying back on my training and my background to say, I'm doing A, B, and C because A, B, and C. So really just outlining things of these are strategies that work for kids, all kids, and let's work together. For me, I don't want it to be you come for a sports class 1 hour a week, you go home. I want it to be wraparound where you feel supported from us, where we can talk to your school and your kids' teachers about strategies that work well at sports. We can support you with other behavior things that are going on. We had a child who was not ready to be in a group class. I went to their home and we did sports in their backyard for a few weeks.
Really?
And then
Wow.
we were able to bring him back. So that's a flexibility of being a small business where I can give attention to things like this is it's looking at the environment and what can I change as the analyst to give this kid a chance to play. So obviously being in a group of 8 was too much. He was hitting. So I was like, let me come see if there's anything else I can see in your backyard. So we did soccer in the backyard for a few weeks, and then we brought him back to a group of 4 instead of 8. So just those things that we can do to help that kid be successful is unique to us.
Well, that's real work, man. I'm sure it brings a smile to you and your wife Kristen's face quite
fulfilling.
a bit. It's I'm sure it's never stressful. No,
Everything's fine.
how great is it to work with your wife too? Because it's I've always
I don't
kind of
know if she
wondered
would
that.
say the same. Yeah, yeah.
We'll ask each individually.
Well, it's funny because she works from home full time, so she's got like the office, and I'm at like dining room table before we moved into our gym space. And we would door would open, and I'm asking her questions, and this isn't her full time job, so she has her own job, and I'm asking her questions, and she said I can't talk right now, and so it's a lot of circling around the kitchen table and who's making lunch and things like that. So it's been fun to be home together, challenges and positives.
Yep, you'd have it no other way.
Yeah.
Would you, in the final minutes again here with Greg Perkins, president and co-founder of Inclyousion Sports out of Danvers. When they send the kids home, do you want it to be is it mostly you come here and have fun? Is it mostly like, what would you say, what's that one word you want them to go home with?
Yeah, and that's important, and it is fun. We're non-competitive.
Yeah.
We do a lot of obstacle courses. We play games like Alien Tag and Red Light, Green Light, Purple Light, where they do dancing, and so we're fun. We want them to leave fun. We want them to talk about us during the week. That's the biggest compliment I can give. When a family says, oh, Johnny was talking about you all week. Like, we were so excited to come. And that's what I try to instill in our coaches of like, I want you guys to be so engaged and make so many connections that these children are talking about you during the weeks. That's my challenge to the coaches. But yeah, it's so important. We wrap up every class. We do a hands in. We do a team cheer. Sometimes it's 1, 2, 3 team. We have some creative kids that like to say other things like spaghetti, tomato, unicorn.
Sure.
We roll with it, and every kid ends with a sticker. So we want those kids happy, leaving, talking about our class, and as they go on with the rest of their day.
You know, you mentioned the coaches right there. Probably didn't talk enough about them. I know you love your staff. One, are you battling staff shortages? I'm sure you could always use more staff, but also give a shout out to your coaches who are so great with these kids.
Our coaches are crushing it. They are fantastic. Like I said, they come from many different backgrounds. They're working, most of them 40 hours a week. They're doing us a couple hours on the weekends. And yes, we are continuing to grow. So we're always looking for coaches. North Shore, like I said, we have classes in Danvers. We just opened our gym in Peabody. And then big time will be spring. We'll get back outdoors across the state. So even if you're not in the North Shore, if you're out by Worcester, we had classes. South Shore, we had classes. So if you're interested in us, check out our website.
Is it a I mean, I know every industry is battling staff shortages. Teachers, just read about teachers in the paper every week. Is there a need for that kind of training? I'm sure there is in the industry, right?
Yeah. So I think for us, we've had some dips and lulls, and trying to find people, and consistency is important. Like I said, our coaches are working 40 hours a week, so we want to respect their time, and we pay well, and we want to make sure that everyone feels valued and respected. So we do different things to support the coaches. But yeah, in addition to doing our classes, we've done educational campaigns. We've trained different rec departments. We our mobiles, so we can go to where we've done classes in different preschools. We do an after-school program in Salem. So if anyone's interested in any of that, we can bring classes to them.
Very cool. We're coming up on the new year. I can't even believe it. It's going to be maybe something interesting people might be interested in.
Yeah.
Website?
Inclyousionsports.com.
Okay. And you do
spelling.
the social media and all that stuff too?
At Inclyousion Sports. Check us out. We got Instagram. I do some funny videos here and there. But yeah, we're trying to grow all those social media things, and just building the community, making sure everyone knows that we're here, is important for us.
You got a great shirt. I love the logo.
I don't know
That's
if you
good.
can see that camera right there. YOU in the middle. It's a little bit different, but yeah,
Good.
it's been fun.
Awesome, man. Well, very good. I know you're doing some great work over there in Danvers. It's been fun catching up with you.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate having me.
My dad texted you. He said hello.
He said hi.
He said hi
Are
to
they still
Greg.
doing band stuff? Is he still playing?
He still does the music. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does the. I don't know if he takes the band out anymore, but he does like smaller duos and
Yeah,
trios.
I saw him did like a Facebook Live maybe like a year
Yes.
ago. I chimed
Yeah.
in,
Did
sent
you?
a request. Yeah,
He has quite a following on those
yeah.
Facebook
No,
Live
there's a lot of
things,
people
yeah.
on there. It was really fun.
Yeah, he's he talked to everybody, so
Yeah.
he's a very
Unofficial
talkative.
mayor.
He's a chatty guy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. Everybody knows he's a chatty guy. But Dad says hello. He's probably having little league memories. As
I know,
we speak.
right? That's for
Greg,
another time.
we could do a whole show
Yeah.
on our little league day, which probably none of you would be interested in. Sarah Blackstone, thank you for putting the show together today. Greg Perkins, president and co-founder of Inclyousion Sports in Danvers. Go check them out. Great work you're doing, man, and good catching up with you. Thanks for coming to Newburyport.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Drew.
All right, everybody, coming up on Christmas. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Thanks for stopping by.